Mr. Miranda, a girl was grabbed on 7th Street on Saturday night, right around the same time that you got out of work. Can you describe the man?
Number one looks like him.
Tell me everything, and don't leave anything out.
I'm testifying. Are you sure about this?
All rise.
I don't want to see you become damaged goods. It's not just for me.
The prosecution calls Patricia Ann Shumway.
What about the next girl?
Promise I'm going to put this guy in jail for a long time.
The jury has found you guilty as charged.
Hello, Ernest. John Flynn.
Can you get me out of here?
I believe I can.
Aren't you gonna ask me if I'm guilty?
I'm far more interested why you signed that confession.
I know what you're trying to do. A man's as guilty as sin.
The issue is whether this defendant's confession should have been allowed in evidence.
It was coercion, plain and simple. There was not an attorney present.
Don't make him the face of your crusade. What about Miranda's victim?
I really don't care.
Objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, you must stop this! You must stop this now!
The cases before us raise questions.
What if they say he's not guilty?
The Supreme Court might make us retry him.
The whole world wants nothing but to take from us.
Miranda did not request counsel, therefore, we reverse.
And being locked away is the only thing that lets me sleep at night. So hard to have to keep reliving this over and over. She's worked so hard. She's doing what's right.
Mr. Miranda, our justice system has afforded you every privilege, every protection.
Hey!
This is a courtesy not extended to your victim.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are so happy to have with us, in support of Miranda's Victim, a new film that's about to come out, story by and produced by George Kolber. George, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
It's a beautiful day out here. George, can you tell the people out there in the internet about Miranda's Victim, what it's about?
Sure. People don't really understand. Everybody knows what the Miranda rights are. The right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. It's pretty much ingrained. I suspect that, everybody knows that they're not as long as old. The Miranda rights decision came down from the U.S. Supreme Court in 1966. So I suspect most people weren't even born. I know you weren't, William. So, but how we got there, I found intriguing. It was during COVID that I had nothing to do, and I happened to trip across this because I was like everybody else watching TV and listening to Miranda rights being written, and I said, I've got nothing better to do. Why don't we take a look and see what's going on? And so I got engaged in the story, and I said, well, what is the backstory behind the Miranda rights? How did it happen? It just didn't. We all take it for granted, but we don't know how it came to be. And it is just such an important part of our culture. I decided to dig around a little bit more, and I learned about this guy, Miranda. He's a bad guy. He was dishonorably discharged. He was a thief. He was a serial sexual assaulter. He used knives and ropes, and so that's that's what inspired me to look at it, to make sure people really understood that we have a good law, maybe arguably named after a bad person.
Yeah, and I think that the way that it's framed, it doesn't really, it doesn't make anybody but Ernesto, who is a bad guy, seem to be a bad guy. It's nice. It's wonderfully written. And I wanted to talk to you about the story itself, not necessarily the writing itself, but the story itself. Why was this so intriguing to you?
Well, every time I would talk to somebody about it, they would say, well, it's funny. You'd say, oh, I know all about it. And then when I started explaining that who Miranda was, I didn't know that. And, if Miranda was a bad guy, well, there had to be a victim. and who was the victim that brought this case about, that the landmark case, obviously. And so I decided to look for that victim, and I found Trish. And for 60 years, she's been keeping this a secret. She's a hero because she not only testified against Miranda once, but she had to do it twice. And she needed to put the person that assaulted her away, and she was determined to do that. And then she went into obscurity.
I think that it really is a nice thing of you to put this story front and center, because again, I didn't know all this stuff, and you didn't know all this stuff before you do all this research, and I think that it's a meaningful task to put that to a film like this, because a lot of people don't get their history from anywhere but through movies. I don't know if you know that, but a lot of people don't.
I do know. I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino, Inglourious Bastards, and in the Hollywood. It's just. I know that they may get misconceptions in history. I think we captured this properly, by the way, because each of the characters was well researched. To the extent we could talk to people, we talked to people, and the trials themselves, a lot of it came from the transcripts. Of the trials, I'm proud of the research that we did. A lot of the stuff we couldn't tell because we had to do it in 2 hours, but it is very well documented.
I love that. And in your role as producer, what was your hand in casting? Because the cast here is unbelievable.
Well, I think the first person I cast, if you will, is the director. And I went ahead and I interviewed any number of people. I knew the director had to be a woman. So I'm proud to say that Michelle came out and visited me not once but twice, right here in New Jersey. She came from LA. And I could see the passion in her eyes for this story. And I knew she was going to bring some people to the table. I was as shocked as anybody that she could bring this level of quality. I mean, can you imagine bringing Andy Garcia, bringing Abigail Breslin, bringing Donald Sutherland, and so many more to the table? She's a very unique person. She has a very strong following of people. They respect her, and she respected them, and it really showed when we were telling the story on the screen.
Yeah, it did. I mean, to name a few you didn't even name: Kyle MacLachlan, Donald Sutherland, Ryan Phillippe. Like, it's crazy. Like, this cast is insane. What was that like for you as someone who helped create the story and is producing it, to be like, whoa, okay, this is kind of nuts here. All these famous people.
I think when you're in the moment, you really don't think about, oh, these are famous people, because when we were with them, they were regular people. They were not really prima donnas or anything like that. One of the things that I loved about all of them was the fact that they all appreciated the story and the importance of the story, and they were committed. And I can tell you, they were, there was an awful lot of behind the screen drama that took place. None of it involved them. It involved a lot of other people that were ancillary to the project. But they were all, I can't tell you the amount of respect I have for all of them, all professional, and they all are supportive to this very day.
Well, I wish we could have them here, but, they're fighting to get what's theirs, so I understand completely. Want to ask you a couple things about yourself, George, because every guest I get, I ask them two very, very important questions, and I always love the answers I get. So the first one is very simple. Who are some people that inspire you?
Who are people that inspire me? Well, I'm going to say that a lot of the presidents inspire me, like Truman, and like because he was so courageous and he had to make some very difficult decisions during a difficult time, and dropping the bomb was certainly a decision that was thrust upon him at the last minute. So, he's one. You said two people?
No, you can pick as many as you want.
No, you know what? I can tell you that great writers, and I can't think of one that inspire me because of their ability to tell stories. But I find inspiration from some of the business leaders that I've worked for. That my business isn't really storytelling, quite frankly. My business is in business world, taking companies public and so forth. And people that I've worked for in the past, I've been very fortunate that I came from nothing, and that there are people that gave me opportunities, and people that had great, strong values. And I don't know if I want to name a name right now that comes to mind right away. But he's a magnet in industry, and they are the most inspiring people because they teach family values, and they also teach business values and respect. So they come to mind, but I don't know if they want their names on here.
Totally understand that. Second question, a little bit harder, but it's a little bit more on par with what we're doing here today. You could only watch 2 movies for the rest of your life. What 2 and why?
If I'm only going to watch 2 movies or watch 2 movies for the rest of my life, well, probably Animal House.
Good choice.
Right? And Ferris Bueller, because I like a good laugh, and I like the way they're both written. And, I think I like going to bed at night. I watch comedies on TV because I want to go to bed happy. And I like to watch a lot of the old comedies, the redone ones, because listen, the reality is I'm north of 70, all right, and this is not what I envisioned to be my career. I was just fortunate to be at home during COVID with nothing to do, and I saw an important story to tell, and I told another important story. But the reality is, if I were a lot younger, I'd be looking for a career here. And I'm just looking to get this story told and move on to my next project, which I hope is not as intense as this one was.
I was going to say this one was probably really intense. I love that you chose 2 comedies because rarely do I get people who pick 2 comedies. 2 of the best comedies ever made, honestly, Ferris Bueller and Animal House. Loved your answers to that question. Next thing's next. I want you to elevator pitch me Miranda's Victim. Why should people check this film out?
Well, first of all, the brilliance of the actors themselves who depict real characters. These are not fictional characters. You asked me before, who do I respect? Fictional characters, those writers are amazing to me. They create a world and characters that you can't imagine, and you get immersed in those people. Me, I just went with real people. Everybody was very well researched. I think we captured the essence of every character. It's a courtroom drama largely, and I think it's probably that courtroom drama is the best courtroom drama ever, even better than the Chicago 7, which is Aaron Sorkin, which was brilliant as well, to be sure. Very respect that man. He told me somebody that I should respect. His writing is just unbelievable. But from the detectives and from Ryan Felipe, who played an extraordinary attorney, these are real life people, and how they all came together to create what we have that ended up being the Miranda rule, the Miranda rights. It's not a law. People think it's a law. It is not a law because the court can't pass a law, but they define, they must tell everybody of their rights, their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and their Sixth Amendment right to an attorney. Everybody knows that. But I think this gives a whole brand new perspective to how this came to be. And then you kind of wonder, why was this right named after Miranda, who's really a bad guy? Here we got a good rights, civil rights named after a bad person. I think you'll wonder yourself whether or not that should have ended up that way.
No, I think that's a completely fair perspective on that, especially when you're talking about what we call it. I think you're completely right on that. Now, this film opens limited on Friday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it
I
will
know
be
it's
playing
important.
at the San Diego Film Festival as well. Also correct?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I do my research.
Yeah. We've played in a lot of festivals. We've won an awful lot of awards. I mean, Abigail Breslin repeatedly. We also won Best Film and Michelle Danner Best Director over and over again. I've got to tell you something. I really can't. I lost track. So I'm very optimistic that people will look at this and really appreciate this story as being important and very well acted.
Now, I have no doubt it's well acted. You guys opened Santa Barbara this year, and we're going to be out in San Diego for the film festival. One of my guys is going to be on the ground, so hopefully he can further talk to all of you lovely folks about the film when he's on the ground. But it's been a pleasure having you here today. Is there anything else you want to leave us with, George, before I let you go?
No. Well, I guess I would say this. It's being released, and if you can't make it to a theater, please download it.
Just make sure you watch it. Yeah. Hey, as long as you watch it and you get to fulfill yourself with this story that a lot of people don't know about, right, George?
It's an important story. Most importantly, it is an important story.
Thank you so much for being with me, George. I appreciate your time today. That's going to do it for us today. For Film Snob Reviews, this is William. George Kolber, have a great day.
Bye.